All right, what's up, guys? My name is John Daw, and I'm from iHeartAnxiety. I'm going to be flying solo today without Mitchell. He cannot make today's interview, but we do have the lovely Gem Louise. Is that correct?
It is, yes.
All right, perfect. So she has agreed to, talk a little bit about her journey and, what she's gone through and how she's managed today, and obviously what she's working on these days. She is actually going to be our first woman from the UK, so that's pretty exciting. We get to see a mental health perspective from the opposite gender. So it'll be a little, just a little different. Obviously, we all go through similar things, but it's good to see it from a different perspective. So, with that being said, I generally like to open up things a little bit with asking some silly questions. Just kind of get the blood flowing. So, my
Yeah.
first question to you would be, if I were to fill your entire room that you're sitting in right now with pennies, how many pennies would I need?
Not very many. This is a small living room.
So I wouldn't need very many pennies to open that room, to fill it up, huh?
Not really.
Okay, okay. If you were to explain the color red to a blind person, how would you go about doing that?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, that's a hard question. Um, how can you do that? Just what? I don't know. Thought before. Warm, vibrant, strong, passionate colour.
Yep, they're supposed to be mind numbing. They're supposed to be, one of the questions that kind of make you think. So you
Yeah, like James's question, the crumpets.
Well, we can just say that red is many things. It's, like you said, vibrant, warm, enveloping, uh, and I don't think you'd be wrong in any of those answers. So I appreciate it. Now, getting to getting to you, let's begin.
hmm
What was your first experience with mental health, and was it before you knew you had something going on, or was it after?
Well, looking back, I think I've had it for a long time.
Okay.
But it's only until I've been learning more about it myself, looking back, I think it's gone on for over a long period of time without even realizing it.
Right.
Um, because there's so many things that fits into the category of it, like low self-esteem, when you get panicky, nervous,
Right.
there's the whole anxiety issue, and then depression comes in. So it's been over quite a long period of time on and off.
Okay. Was there a specific, time that you can go back to and you kind of like you're like, okay, something's not quite right. Is there a time in your life when you remember that?
Um, I think a typical thing is within school,
School.
especially when you struggle and there's the whole bullying part, and you're not one of the popular ones. That comes into play. Previous relationships, just general things like that life throws at you, really.
Okay. So it was kind of over a period of time when you just collectively, thought, there's, I need to check this out. Um,
Basically, yeah.
okay. Well, after that period, you kind of, came to understanding of what was going on. What was the journey like getting to where you were to where you are now? Were there any serious roadblocks?
I say my biggest one would be once my marriage ended, and it was the whole single parent thing, moving back to my mum and dad's, because it wasn't just my mum and dad, and there was my younger brother and my two kids all in one little house. That was for about 5 weeks,
Wow. Okay.
and then just learning to be on my own, and with two young kids at the time, and that was very difficult. It was still something that had to be done. I don't regret doing it, but it was very hard. It was tough. it was like starting my life all over again. And obviously, I had these two little guys who depended on me as well.
Right. Uh,
So,
that makes sense. I mean, that would be tough for, for I think a lot of our, of our people on this planet. I mean, obviously having to uproot your life and make a major change is hard enough as it is, but then throw in, maybe mental illness or something that you're, seriously going through, it just makes it that much harder. So, that being said, I want to kind of touch on in this particular interview, the differences between male and female. Obviously, as human beings, we generally feel the same about most things, but we don't exactly experience them the same. So,
mhm.
for example, for a male perspective, we're coming from the, well, let's not talk about it. It's feeling stuff. It's emotional. It's, let's not really
Yeah.
dive into that. Would you say that, you've had a lot of experience with, that type of a response to you maybe wanting to talk about your condition, or maybe just wanting to talk in general to the other gender, and did that maybe contribute to some, some of the issues in your own marriage that you had?
Yeah, it's hard because I think with myself, I found it like I didn't want to be a burden to other people talking about it.
Right.
But I know with what yourself with on the whole the man side of it, you got such a big stigma on it. I think still that needs breaking down. I think it's a lot harder for men to talk about mental health. But I am a bottler. I used to bottle everything up, and it used to things would just pile on top of me gradually, like over and over and over again.
Let's get back to when you kind of first, when you were first realizing that there's this whole other side of you, right? Like there's this whole, either, I mean, I think when we talked about it before we got on the interview, is yours was mainly like depression. Is that was your main thing?
Yeah, anxiety as well, but my depression was up and down a lot.
Okay, so that kind of contributed to maybe making you a different person than you had been previously.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you found out, or when you realized that this was going on, you know, what's the process for because we in America we don't really again it's I don't know I've just seen a lot of things about the UK where mental health is more openly been spoken. And the
Mhm.
United States, it doesn't seem like it as much. I just see like anytime I open up mental health or a website or some sort, it's always got a .uk at the end of it. Um,
Right. Yeah.
so it always seems like that they're kind of progressed a little further. So I don't know how long ago that was, but how long ago was that you started, kind of feeling all these extra things?
Well, I only come across this about 6 months ago, really, because before then I didn't really know much about online groups, online support, mentors, coaches, people working within mental health. That was a whole different world to me 6 months ago.
Okay, so you had never really looked into
You did online.
your, okay.
Sorry.
No, 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 no. So you hadn't really actually ever looked up your symptoms until a little while back, 6 months ago or so.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Uh, that's interesting because I was actually speaking with Mitchell, my buddy who I talked to on iHeartAnxiety. It seems like a lot of people don't like they'll deal with their issues, right? Like for a long time, and they won't actually look up their symptoms. Like they won't actually look up and see what's going on, so they won't either get diagnosed or really know what's happening with them until very late in their life. Do you feel
That's exactly it. Yeah,
Yeah, and do you feel like that if you had looked up maybe what was going on with you earlier, do you feel like you would have been more successful in dealing with the problems?
most definitely. Yes. I wish I did. But as I say, I didn't have much knowledge with mental health until I came across it online. But it really, really did help. And even just talking to people who could relate and come back to me and say, well, we've achieved this and this is our outcome and this is how we are now. And just seeing somebody in the other end and how they've progressed,
Yeah.
it helped me as well and helped change my mindset as well.
Yeah, I can actually identify with that a lot. I I actually my whenever I first started having my equilibrium problems and vertigo and things like that, which actually kickstarted the panic attacks for me, I didn't actually look anything up because I was so scared what was going on
Yeah.
until way later. So I can definitely identify with that. Um, Another question would be, do you feel like um, do you feel like it's easier for women to go and get support for this type of thing than it is for men?
I think so. I do, yes. It's difficult, but I do believe it is easier for women to come forward and ask for the help because, as I said before, I do think there's more of a stigma for men and it is harder. And that barrier should be broken down more because men suffer from it too.
Yeah, and I don't know why we haven't really, or I'm sure a lot of people have tried to break it down, but I don't really. It's so important because, as everyone knows, we're still in a world where it's dominated mostly by men, and unfortunately, I wish that wasn't the case.
Yeah,
Until I mean, but we're slowly, I think, we're slowly getting there. There are more women being put
yeah,
into more powerful positions, and what I'm trying to get to is because there are so many powerful men, and we don't talk about these issues. It's obviously seeping into into the professional lives. It's seeping into the policies that they put out and things like that. I mean, how many men, that are currently in power in the world right now are possibly suffering from some type of mental illness and not
that's
talking
it.
about it,
Yeah,
not getting any relief. So I think it's incredibly interesting to talk to a woman and talk to someone on the opposite gender to get their perspective on how slowly things have been changing because the man is still kind of making all the rules. Not all of it, but a lot of it because they are so still high up there.
yeah,
So, do you think that that's possibly one of the reasons why it's taking so long? Because you've got these men who don't want to talk about it.
yeah. I believe so, but it is improving because I have witnessed it myself. But I think it's just this thing with where men are men and
Right.
talking about your feelings is very difficult, but I think it just takes a few people to come up with their story. And then I do think men do find it easier to then talk about it themselves as well. You see quite a lot of YouTube people do it as well. And coming forward, it's like who are men who I've come across before, and they tell their story, and I've seen people comment saying, I wish I could do that, but it is really difficult.
Absolutely. It's gonna be imperative for our future that we get the male toxicity down a couple notches so that way it's not so much rhetoric about oh it's not good, you don't need to worry about your feelings, you don't need to talk about it, don't worry about it, just deal with your problems, just be quiet and deal with it. So once that
Yeah,
starts kind of unloading, I think we'll be in a much better place. um,
definitely.
so I mean, now that we kind of have talked about that from your perspective, from a woman's perspective, are there any unique challenges you think you might have been, you've been facing since you've had to deal with all this?
Um, with myself, it's just trying to put the past aside and move forward has been my biggest challenge. Um, Becoming my own person and becoming stronger, turning my negatives from the past and making it more positive from now on. And telling your story definitely helps. And when other people relate and you're helping other people in the process, I think that gives us a big boost as well within my confidence and getting out there.
Okay. Uh, with all these, misconceptions that we're still dealing with, from a day-to-day basis, what are some of the worst misconceptions that you've encountered so far about, mental health in general?
Um, I just think people find it so hard to face up to it and talk about it. I think that people have got that barrier with where they find it hard to discuss the feelings, especially in public as well. I think a lot of people just keep it bottled in.
Yeah, absolutely. And what people don't understand is that, to beat this thing, it actually is you would think that keeping your emotions in check and making sure everything is you know normal would somehow keep you in check and make you not go off the rails. But it's actually
Mm.
the opposite we find in a lot of research. And for example, panic attacks. When somebody's having a panic attack, they generally want to run away from the problem. They want to get away. They want to go somewhere else. They want to forget it. They want to go to a happy place. When in actuality, it's actually quite the opposite. The only way you really come down from it, in a positive way and fix it is by staying with it and not running away
Yeah.
and teaching your body not to react to that type of stimulus. So, until people really start talking about it, like you said, they're not going to feel better. It's not gonna,
No.
it's not gonna happen. I think people are just, unfortunately, we're lazy when it comes to emotions, and we just feel like if we don't talk about it, then it's going to go away. We don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, that's it. I used to think that a lot, and thinking that way, it just gradually builds up over and over in time, and it's
Yeah,
very unhealthy. And as you say, you'll just never get any better if you just keep it all blocked in.
absolutely. Well, now that we've kind of found out, a little bit about your thought process and how you have, encountered mental health, uh, what specifically, is there have you had a diagnosis? Do you have a diagnosis of what you're dealing with?
Um, when I went, like, I've been into, I've had counselling done quite a few times in the past, and it just said it's depression, and I was on medication on and off for the last about 8 years, but I took myself off them. I know everybody's different when it comes to medication,
Right.
but to me, the medication just kind of covered it, if you know what I mean. Um, it was until I got out of the environment that made me feel that way and faced the way I was feeling and confronted these feelings that I started to improve.
Okay. So for you, with your depression, you were initially thinking that maybe medicine would help you balance your life, but in actuality for you, it wasn't until you've gotten off of them that you were actually able to change your state of mind.
That's it, yeah. But as I say, everybody's different.
Right.
I'm not saying for nobody to, not to take any medication, but it didn't work for me. It was until, I know it sounds crazy, but like I spoke to myself and said, right, come on, this has got to change. I think everybody has that point with where you know that life isn't going to get any better unless you face it and do something about it.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's exactly what I believe in what me and Mitchell kind of preach is that we believe that positivity and change of attitude are really your best, weapon against, mental health. Now, obviously, this
Definitely.
is this is for the more, maybe benign type of conditions like anxiety, depression, and panic attacks, things like that. But now, obviously, we do want people to know that if you have a condition that requires medication, please don't stop. Schizophrenia, bipolar, whatever it is, we're not your
Exactly.
doctors. We're not your doctors. We can't recommend any of that type of stuff. But if if you want to try, don't feel like you can't try, right? So if you want to
That's
try,
it.
changing your state of mind, that might be your best weapon. Um,
Yeah.
now, piggybacking off of that, uh, now you've kind of been, involved with the mental health community a little bit more. What is one interesting positive trend for mental health that you've seen, and what's one negative trend that you've seen for mental health?
But within what I've learned or what I've
Correct.
within myself.
Well, anything you've seen, whether it be people posting way too many negative things, or maybe it's people saying this or that. What are some trends that you're seeing?
Well, especially I think especially within social media is. on the negative side, where if somebody wants to get something off the chest, they're automatically known as just attention seeking.
Right.
And, oh, so and so is just looking for a cry for help. But what is wrong with that? It could be somebody genuinely reaching out, wanting to communicate with somebody because they can't talk to maybe a loved one or the friends. So you can't see a negative side of it at times with where somebody's trying to reach out.
Okay. Have you personally been able to see the some positive trends? Have you seen something that maybe you'd like to share?
Yeah, well, like my group that I run, it's a closed group for exactly that reason, with where people within mental health or even just wants to upload and get things off the chest, they can come into the group and talk to other people who understand what it's like and have gone through it themselves or is still going through it as well. And it brings a positive impact because when people can relate within a mental health community, it makes them feel better, and they also helping other people along the way as well. And I think it's so important to get that message out there.
Absolutely, I definitely agree. Um, this is a question I like to ask pretty much everyone. I just think it's insightful. Now that you're where you uh, is there anything that you would change knowing what you know now? And if so, is there anything you would tell the younger version of yourself that doesn't know?
What message I would say is that it's actually, I know it's a cliche thing, but it's okay not to be okay and not to be ashamed about it.
Right.
To not give yourself a hard time for feeling the way you're at and look into it and get the help that you need. Don't just hide away from it because it's a very slow process when you do it on your own.
Right. It goes by so much more positively when you surround yourself with people, and you can kind of piggyback off the support of others that are willing to to give you encouragement and give you the things that you need to make a change. So
Yeah, exactly.
I agree. I absolutely agree. That would be one of the things that I'd like to tell myself from way back when. The research thing is huge. I've talked about it numerous times. So I definitely agree. Okay, so now we're in the in the present now, right? So
Yeah.
what are some things that we can kind of do to facilitate better education about mental illnesses? What are some things in your maybe in your opinion that we can be doing to to get better education out there about about us?
Just get it out there. With myself, it's when I hear other people's stories and I think, I can really relate to that person.
Yeah,
And when everything just isn't textbook, but it's how people have experienced things, sorry, and learn from themselves with how to then progress. I would look I would look at people like that and think, well, they've done it, so I can do it.
absolutely. I think one story, I just want to touch on that a little bit. I think one story can change somebody's life because maybe it touches a part of their soul that they didn't think anybody else was really going, through, or something that kind of
Yeah,
ignites something. It's like, wow, that person is just like me, and look how far they've come. So,
that's exactly it. Yeah,
I definitely agree. Guys, if you have a story, get out there and share it in any way, form. It can be an anonymous letter to a publication. It can be a video like we're doing here. Any way that you can share your story because it could save somebody's life. So
definitely, yes.
I definitely agree. So coming now to the tail end of everything here, tell us some things that you're involved with, and what do you got cooking? What's going on in your life?
Quite a few things, but it's more just having it as a community. This group is all just about helping one another and
What
helping change the mindset as well.
what is your group called?
Focus and belief.
Okay, and they can join that on Facebook, correct?
Yeah, they have to send a request because, as I say, it's a closed group because there's a lot of sensitive information in there. I mean, obviously, people have done lives, people are doing their own videos, their own stories.
Right.
So I think it's just better having it as a closed group, and people can just join if they think it's for them, or if it's, if somebody thinks, I think one of my friends will like that, or a family member might benefit from that.
Right.
That way instead of having it open. I think people can talk more freely then, knowing that.
Absolutely. I definitely agree. Um, so basically, to reiterate everything, if they want to get in touch with you, that would be the best way to kind of to kind of find out what you're doing is to go through the Focus and Belief group, correct, on Facebook?
Yes.
And
I mean, people can add me on Facebook as well. I mean, even if they just want to give me an inbox to start with and get a bit more of a feel about the group and then join after that, it's what anybody wants. I really don't mind.
absolutely, I get that. Now, obviously, I'll ask you for the details of everything, and I'll put in the link below. But is that the only place that you're involved with anything? I think you said something about coaching. Are you doing coaching somewhere?
I'm in the process. I want to get a bit more behind us first, but within time, I definitely want to be doing coaching within mental health, and I've just taken up another course for children's mental health.
Nice.
So I want to add as much to it as I can because, as I say, it goes under the same umbrella. There's just so many things: bipolar, anxiety, children's behavioural problems. There's such a wide range. And I want to cover as much as I can, so everybody, will be okay in there and can relate.
Okay. Awesome. To wrap things up here, are there any people, maybe books that you'd recommend to viewers out there that want to help themselves?
I've got quite a few books actually. This one at the moment's one I'm reading. Susan Jeffers' Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway.
Okay.
That's a really good one at
Jeffers.
the moment.
All right. So there's
You've
a book
read
right
that one.
there that maybe people can get involved with. Now, what is that? Is that just with fear in general, or?
Yeah, it's to do with how to assert yourself, public speaking, um, coping with actually being alone, just anything. It bullet points so many different things, even with grieving and how to move on with that. It just covers a wide range of how to move forward with that.
Okay. Are there any people maybe on social networks that'll be easy for people to follow? Anyone you recommend?
Yeah, well, obviously there's yourself and there's James.
James.
James has helped me in a big, big way, and I've only known him for about 5, 6 weeks now, and he has a lot.
Okay, so, and you were talking about James Mullins, right?
His runs, yes.
Okay.
There's also Lewis Raymond Taylor and the Hunger Start Entrepreneurs. That's the group I'm in at the moment.
Okay.
They've helped me as well.
Say that one more time.
It's Lewis Raymond Taylor. He's a business coach and lifestyle coach,
Okay.
and his group Hunger Start Accelerator.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Um, well, there you have it, guys. That is Miss Lovely Gem Louise. You can contact her through her group on Facebook. I'll have her details in the link below. Obviously, I appreciate you coming by, making time for the interview. It's just one
Thank you
more.
so much for having me. I've never done this before, so it's
Fine,
the first.
fine. I really appreciate it. And this is going to be another story that we can get out there and let people see the faces that are dealing with this on every day, and who have overcome, and who are trying to lead a better life through motivation, positivity, and whatever therapy they're trying to get through with. So again, I appreciate it, Jim. I can't thank you enough for coming on here for me. But that's going to be it for us, guys. I'm John. That's Jim, and we hope you have a good night.
Right, thank you.
All right.